Greetings, people. Let's get right into it. So I want to talk today about something that really none of us really like to talk about at all. It's family and having to let them go. It's a tough subject for sure. And it's one that I've been reluctant to make videos about it for a long time because believe me, I could talk about family things all for hours. But I know this has the potential of going very long. So what I'll do is if it does, then I'll try to, cut this up into parts or something, or part 2, part 3, whatever. But this is an important thing to talk about. So letting go. So anyone who knows me long, knows that I'm really fond of family. They know me as that. They know I'm very fond of nostalgia and loving parts of the way in which I was raised and grew up. It was a fantastic time. But as always, things are fluid. Things change quickly, and that's pretty much how it went in my life. I would say things change very quickly, and I had to adapt. But with that came a lot of turmoil, just life stuff, as I say, life stuff. But then there's the leftover. You get by those things, but then there's the residual things in the wake. And that's what most of my life, I feel like, has been, my adult life has been trying to fight. It's trying to fight the trauma of my parents. Not just my parents. I'll say this because I'm not, never blame. These are just facts. This is the reality that I lived through. I'm going to say the trauma of living through the crack era. It's not just my parents. It was a very intense time that people just kind of think is New Jack swing and gangster rap, but it's a lot more than that. Psychologically, it definitely affected many of us in adverse ways. So, so from my teenage years on, there was this riff created with crack and drugs in general and in my family. And it was a rift created. Of course, I couldn't stand this time in my life, which was my high school years. And then after my college years, because it was, my parents were just out there. So I didn't have a lot of respect for my parents at the time. I missed out on a lot of things because my parents were out there, and I had resentment. I had a lot of pain in me, a lot of anger because of it. So it took me a long time to get by it and recoup that supreme respect that I had for my parents. But I did it. I did do it. But it took them to get clean-ish, we'll say. I think my parents never really completely ever stopped doing drugs, but I think at some point, if I had to guess, they stopped doing hard stuff. That's what it seemed like to me. They were able to keep their wits about them, whatever. So, man, I was able to regain that respect that I had. But then, you kind of go through this roller coaster with family where they can keep doing the same things or staying kind of adjacent to, running up to the line, but not stepping over these things, old behaviors, which for me were old triggers. And so it's just like, so you can become what I would say I became. And that's a very controlled person. so I don't drink, do drugs or anything like that. Very ultra into uh, what goes into my body, things that affect my mood, all these types of things. I don't want to be controlled by anything. I don't want ever want to act in a way that I can't control, that I can't reel myself in. Like I saw the people around me. So, um, so it was a terrible time, carried resentments, got the respect back from our parents, but it wasn't the same because my parents were still really, like I said, they never really completely came out of it. They were clean-ish, sober-ish. I don't know. Some people might say it's all or none, I guess, but my parents were never completely sober. They just stopped doing crack. And I guess for our family, that was good enough. And we were able to, they stopped, they stopped doing drugs, hard drugs, to a degree where we were able to have a decent relationship. The problem with that is that the way they did it, there was no continuity. So whatever they did to get off the hard stuff, they didn't do, what's it called? When you have a job and they didn't have to do the credits, to relearn the new stuff. They didn't re-up anything to learn, to keep learning how to deal with why they did drugs. They never really, they didn't do that. And that ultimately, that got him in the end, or at least that got me, because it came to a point where it had to be a choice for me. When my dad passed away last year, it was it was very hard, as you would imagine, but the underlying thing there was my relationship with my existing parent, which is my mother. And for all intents, I feel like she was the more toxic of the two. And I knew once my dad was gone that I was not going to be able to maintain a relationship with my mother. I didn't want to, and I didn't think I could do it. And that's because my mom's a lot of issues, man. And I'm not here to bash my mom. A lot of issues that she just didn't work enough on, or maybe she did on her own. I don't believe so, because she's just not that type of woman. But she self-medicated, and it didn't make her better. It just made her able to exist. And in my opinion, that's how she existed. She is today. She's just here. She's alive, but it's, I can't even be around her anymore, because the way I would describe it, I was really close with my mother, had an unbreakable bond. I felt like I was just, I don't know. I felt, maybe it's because I was the sibling that looked the most like her, but I can't be in the same room with her anymore, because she hurts my insides. I don't know if that makes sense, but she hurts all the things that aren't tangible. And that sucks to say that, but it's the truth. She makes the most minuscule things about people. She makes me react. She gives me she makes my skin react. She makes my follicles react. And I've just noticed during a lot of this time, man, I've been really miserable in my life, and I'm not blaming them. They had their own issues. I was codependent of my parents, and so I was latched on trying to help my parents live a better life. And I just didn't break out the raft quick enough. You know, I maybe I should have done this sooner, because the the information was already there that this wasn't gonna go, it wasn't gonna get better. So you just hang on because you're told this your family. You know. But at a certain point, I I kept believing that. I kept reinforcing that with myself. It's my family. It's my mom. It's my dad, you know. Because my dad, while he was the one that was least toxic and I could deal with him better, he still was toxic. So come on, turn off windshield wipers. So, but at a certain point, I remember pushing him away for like 2 years, 2 or 3 years or something like that too. It's just like, dude, I can't do it. If you're codependent of her, I can't do it. And they pulled me back in, but come back around, and it came and got to this point where I couldn't do it anymore. And it's so, I can't even say it's hard. That saddens me some, but I can't even say it's difficult. Do I miss my mother? No. Might sound harsh, but I do not miss my mother, because she is a miserable person who, I would say she probably has as close to a joyless life as any person I know. I don't think she finds joy in being here, which is why she used to make so many threats of killing herself when I was young. I don't think she has found enough joy here to justify her existence. So she's just here. I don't miss her. And along with her codependence to my dad, there's also codependence to my other sister, Tricia. She's like, it's like really the same thing with my mother. She was very much like my mother. More like my mother when she was younger, more attitude. Same thing, toxic, can't do it. And it's taken me all this time to really, really understand it, man. I really got on myself about this and kind of put put blame and real pressure on myself to just take this family spoonful of castor oil and swallow it. But I don't know, maybe it was turning 50 that did it. Maybe it was significant for me. Maybe that was it. And it's just like, I can't continue to waste the bandwidth and energy that I have for the world, not just for the world. There's so many other places that I could use this positive. Not when I get around my family, it's just gloomy. Not Dame, not Lolly, but the rest of them. It's just gloomy. So I had to let them go. I had to let them go. And that was not difficult at the time because it was overdue. I didn't even go to my dad's funeral for a number of reasons. One, because I did not want to see my dad dead. I didn't go over to the house when my sister called and told me he had passed away. I couldn't go over there because I didn't want to see my dad not here anymore. The other reason I didn't go to the funeral is because I just didn't want to deal with my mother and sister. I didn't want to see them. I don't want to see them again. People say, "Oh, you're gonna have this bad feeling or this unresolved." I mean, it's always going to be unresolved because I can't make her see what I see. And I've been the bigger, I don't want to say the bigger person. I've been the person who's been more receptive to the other person the entire time. And at this point, I mean, you just used up all the energy that I've had for you. And I don't want to be sick anymore. I've been sick. I've been sick emotionally from my mother. And that's it. That's the toxicity that I explain. It's not just, oh, I can't stand them. Nah, it's I become preoccupied with them and how I can help or make it better or something, because the misery, I'm a very empathetic person. And it's naturally what I do to try to ease the tension of others. So, and my mother is the ultimate attention grabber when you're around her. And it's a strain. And I feel like they were breaking me down. And it's so difficult for me to have a relationship. I just don't want to have a relationship like that. It's basically one-sided with both of them. My sister, she was the same. She had no purpose for me anymore. You know, it wasn't like we talked anymore or things, called each other. Nah, she pretty much let me know that she didn't have a purpose for me anymore. And once I discovered that, it's like, why am I still doing this? And yet I still had some people around me saying, oh, but that's your family. But that's your family. What about me? What about what my outlook, the outlook that I want to have? What about that? And I watch the other people, it's mainly one person who would say that to me, and I watch how they are with their family, and it's like, they're just draining the hell out of you. I'm like, how do you, it's this, I feel like the reason that person can't get to a point where they want in their lives. They're unmarried, no kids, unhappy, they work, and they drink too much. So I had to let them go. Don't miss them. But I do have yearning. I have yearning for my mother. I would say that. I have a yearning for my mother. And I think that's because I came from her. It's just how it's going to be. I have yearning for her, not for my sister. I think what's different there is that my sister made it clear that she just really didn't want anything to do with me for some reason. Don't know why. She just didn't want anything to do with me anymore. And as if like I served no purpose in her life. So it's I guess it's easier to just stay away because of that. Now, my mother, on the other hand, more action, and you more gotta figure out the details and stuff yourself, peel back the layers. But she speaks with her actions, and you know, I just think that she's so miserable she can't help but not give you the light sometimes. And that's what we're supposed to do as family. It's what we're supposed to do. I remember when I was a kid, when my mother gave me the light before. I can remember her smiling face and being, I guess, beaming with pride from something that I did. But as an adult, I don't know if I ever saw that. Because that's when I started to notice things were off there. Things weren't right in the way she looked at me. I think my mother started to look at us, not just me, the rest of my siblings, and at times with envy. And that's a hard place to be, because you start to blame yourself for no good reason at all. You take the brunt of it, and you're trying to figure out, what did I do? What did I do? And you've done nothing. You've done nothing, because wherever the source is for this, you were never there. We weren't even born yet. And these are things that I've had to understand about my mom. She's, her trauma is there, but she hasn't done a lot, and it's still very much there. And I can't do her at all anymore. And I'm gonna say it here. I just don't. I don't know if I've even ever said this out loud or to anybody else other than my wife, but I don't care to see my mother again in life. I'm gonna get a phone call one day that she's passed on. It's gonna hurt, but that'll be it. I'll say, maybe I'll say something internally. Um, think about some things for sure. I'll probably shed tears. But at the end of all that, I'll be like, hey, here's the silver lining. She doesn't have to hurt anymore, because my mother is definitely a hurting soul. And that can be it. Same thing with my sister. I don't have to speak to her anymore ever again in my life. I'm good. I hope she's good. It's not my responsibility to make sure that she is. Love. I love them. But I do think love is earned. And if I had to, I'm not going to say, I just think that I love them less. I think so, because at a certain point, they didn't do things to me to earn my love anymore. They just became users at times. And that wasn't fun, to see that you're being used by someone who loves you, or someone that you love, that you're only good for fixing something, techie things, or do this or do that. It became like that, and it's like, damn, do you even care how I feel, or how I'm doing, or how's my significant other? You wouldn't get that a lot. You just, and it started to become really apparent. Didn't say much about it, because you've been in a lot of circular arguments, or not even arguments, but a lot of circular conversation and thinking about this, that it just comes back to the same thing. I don't think my mother or my sister care about me the way in which I care about them. Yeah, it got to that point. And I can remember about 2018 or 19 sometime, when I was training with my dad, and we have really, really, really good conversations. We have really private conversations where he could be himself, because he was away from my mom. But he told me, he'd tell me things that she would say at times, and I was like, wow, that's whack. But I had to tell him at one point, I said, unfortunately, Dad, I don't think Mom cares about you the same way you care about her. And he sat there looking solemn, but he nodded in affirmation, because he knew it was true. He would do anything from her. He would, there's nothing my dad wouldn't do for my mother. But even in the state that he was approaching, there were limitations on what she would do for him. What can you say, man? But so I'm talking about my experiences with having to let family go. It can be one of the most difficult things, and I say it is in totality, but not currently. Again, I have yearning from my mother. Just, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, there's a couple times I had a couple bad dreams about her, but in totality, man, I'm so much better. I'm so much better off without them in my life. And that isn't to take a dump on them or anything. It's just whatever. It's just life. And it's taken me all these years to understand it. It doesn't, things are not going to be, there was a point where I actually thought we were going to be this close for the rest of our lives. And it's just not the case, man. So you have experiences like this. You have parts of your life that have been like this. Let's talk about it. Hit me up in the comments. Hopefully my other two siblings can get in here and say something, but they know I love them completely. And I'm so grateful to have them, at least, because the world is harsh and it'll take everything from you. It can. But I still have those two people, and I have Kate to say, you know what, that's my family, and the people that I know love me. And that's how I move. I move in and out of places where I know that I'm loved, because that's, and at the end of my days, that's what I want to hang my hat on. It's, just being around people who reciprocate and who don't hold back or have ulterior motives or anything like that. I like my life now. I like it a lot. So tell me how you feel about, or if you've ever had to let go, or you're in a situation where your family member is just, too tumultuous for you. Let's talk about it. Hit me in the comments. It's Pete, Illis, and I'm out. Two of them.